Listen, I'm here to tell you, don't worry about your Bruins and Celtics. These aren't permanent slides. They're not something to be concerned about. I'm telling you now, they're bored. And once the playoffs get near, they'll be fine.
Welcome back to the Old Bull and Young Calf Boston Sports Podcast, episode 27, which means we are over the half a year mark. Half a year of consecutive podcasts for you guys. We've loved making this content, and now we have our 4 segments for you. What are we going to talk about with them today, Dad?
We have breaking news at this hour. Robert Kraft has hired 2 new general managers. The Old Bull and, well, really one. The other one's more of a coffee boy. And the Young Calf. We're going to give you what we would do with all of that juicy Patriots cap space, their high draft picks. Who is getting the boot out of town? We're not re-signing. Who are we re-signing? So we're going to let you know what we would do if we were in those general manager shoes. And then our second segment, we're going to go over the Boston Celtics 90, 50, 10 for the rest of the year. We're going to revisit some of our older ones as well. And one of the subjects is kind of a hot topic with our superstar, Jason Tatum. So we're going to touch on that as well. And then the third one, the Boston Bruins. On that roller coaster, man, up and down, up and down. So, we're going to give you our thoughts on them. The trade deadline is coming up. So see what we have to say about that. And then sad news, the drawings for sharing the podcast has not worked. I love you. Basically, same 10 people that share every week. We love you guys, but the views aren't up, the shares aren't up. So we're going to have to use that, $15 a week towards other resources, maybe advertising on Facebook. So I'm really sorry, but this is our last one. We're going to pull it off one more time. And then we didn't get any suggestions for my betting segment. So we're just going to go with Steve's high stakes right now and see what my lock of the week is. A million times better than Anthony. That's for damn sure.
All right,
listen. Don't listen to that guy.
No.
All right. So anyway, I get a little overzealous there. I'm sorry.
Yes. And the Young Calf does not condone any slander to Anthony. Anthony made me a lot of money this year, so I appreciate him. Wilkes Basement Bets is money, and we're excited to have him back.
Oh no, he did good. He had a very good record. He did.
Yes, and there's a high bar, very high bar for that.
Yeah,
because the Old Bull already missed his. The Old Bull is 0-1. Also, Shea Gilgeous did not even come close.
That was a really, really hard one, though. You're gonna pick out of 26 guys. Like, come on, get out of here with that.
Listen, anyway. All right. So, like my dad said, Robert Kraft called us up and said, "Listen, guys, we have no idea what we're doing over down here. We didn't hire a GM. Can you fill in at last minute?" And we're like, "Of course we could do that. We've been doing this all year. This is what we were born to do." So, we're gonna go over, particularly start off with the more sturdy foundation side of the ball with the defense, right? And my dad mentioned we're going to try and compartmentalize these as well as we can, make it easy for not only you to understand, but for Robert Kraft to understand, right? Because that's what's important. How we're spending his money, a lot of money this offseason's on the table. So right off the bat, with the defensive side of the ball, we'll jump right into the cuts. Now, these are the cuts on the defensive side of the ball are a bit of a no-brainer. And one of the big ones, my dad has brought this up a few weeks in a row, is JC Jackson. Cutting JC Jackson saves us somewhere over $14 million in cap space this year and really pushes us, we're already top in cap space. That pushes us close to 87 or 88 million. After that on defense, I don't know how you feel about this one, Dad, but Devon Godchaux, he's a $3.5 million dead cap. But if we cut him, we save his total cap hit is 11.5. So that's about $8 million in cap space. I know he clogs up the middle. I know he brings that run defense, but I don't know. I don't know if that time in New England with that heavy defensive tackle is still any more with Mayo coming in. Otherwise, for cuts on defense, I mean, if you can count him as a defender, Chris Board, $3 million cap hit, $1 million dead cap. So that's about a $2 million savings. He's technically a special team guy, but those are my cuts on defense. What are your thoughts on that, Dad?
So, God, talk about stealing my thunder. I mean, J.C. Jackson, he's a no-brainer. He's gone.
Yeah.
He's out. But I also was cutting Gotch out. I was
Yeah.
saving eight and a half million in cap space because I have a master plan as far as filling in for him. Any other cuts, they're all small potatoes.
Yeah.
I'm not bringing Uche back. I'm not bringing him back. So I almost consider that cutting him. So, Matt, I'm going to segue into you after I name off my other guys because I want to
Yeah.
hear who you're not bringing back. I'm not bringing Uche back. I am
Yep.
not bringing Duggar back. Not for
Yep.
no 14 plus million a year. Get out of here. No, 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 thank you. And, everyone else on the defense, I don't really have a problem with. So
Yeah.
we got some holes to still plug there, but those are the guys I'm not bringing back or I'm cutting. And so who
Yeah.
are you not bringing back, Matt?
No, I think you nailed it there. Those are the guys I don't want to bring back. And speaking of one of those guys in particular, and segueing into who we should re-sign on the defensive side of the ball, Duggar leaving. Uh, I'm hoping Bledsoe, a guy that you keyed in on last early last preseason as an up and coming defender. Hopefully, we re-sign him. He was on a very cheap contract, and he showed out pretty well. I think he fit into our defense, and hopefully, he can be a cheap alternative to Duggar. I think we're a lot higher on him than a lot of other teams. Um, Other guys that I would like us to re-sign on the defensive side of the ball. Yeah, not Uche. So yeah, I think Bledsoe's kind of the only guy. Otherwise, Miles Bryant, bye Miles. I mean, if we could get him on a deal, a very very good deal, because we are somewhat thin at cornerback, with Jones 1 year older, Gonzalez being coming off of that injury. So any guys I didn't mention that you want to re-sign, or thoughts on the guys I think we should bring
No.
back?
So Bryant, I want him out. I'm actually cutting almost every single guy that's under 5 million a year where we're going to save that much cap space. If they're like a $4 million player and we're going to save 4 million by cutting them, I'm cutting that guy. Their roster is garbage. It's hot trash. There's almost nothing on there I want. So basically, almost anybody under $5 million, where if we cut them, we're saving that entire amount. I'm doing it. I don't want anything to do with them. We need a lot of fresh starts around here. So, and don't forget, Matt, at safety, we got Peppers and we got Mapu.
Yep.
Mapu flashed last year too. So I think it's a decent rotation with Bledsoe, those three guys. I think you're going to do fine with that. And especially after, use some of that spending cap to bring in some free agents. So what do you have there, Matt? Who are you plugging some of these holes in for?
Yeah, and that's going to be a tough one because again, we have a lot of money, and I think one thing I could preface before I start to talk about spending money is that I feel as if our window for true contention starts not in 2024, not in 2025, but 2026. At that point, our quarterback will have 2 years under his belt. That's a spoiler from when we get to the draft section. And I would like us to structure a lot of the money that we're spending this offseason on uh, having the ability to go big in 2026. So it's going to be tough because a lot of these big hitting defenders are probably going to want 3, 4, 5 year contracts. So I don't know, Dad. There's a lot of guys out there that are hitting the free agency, especially Chris Jones, Leonard Williams, Danielle Hunter. I would like to grab one of those guys, make a splash on defense, show the defense a little bit of love, considering how much they showed out last season and didn't get really any help from our offense. So I would like to get one of those guys that kind of goes in the way I think our defense is going to be going, which is an aggressive blitzing kind of defense. So Hunter, Williams, Chris Jones, maybe making a splash there. What about you on the defensive side of the ball?
So basically, you think they're dead next year. Everyone thought they saw the Patriots die last year, but you know what? They called the old bull for help, and now, all right, it turns out that they were just faking. They were using ninja focus to slow their heart rate. because with my plan, they're coming back to life. All right.
You're alive! Oh my God!
I'm alive.
You were dead! I saw you die!
I was faking. I used ninja focus to slow my heart rate down.
What are you doing?
I'm burying you.
I'm alive! I'm alive!
You're waking the neighbors!
No!
Shut up!
No!
The reason why I'm cutting Gotcha out and saving that $8.5 million, and I already mapped this out, baby, and it comes under the cap. I am signing Chris Jones to go with Barmore. Two
Wow.
wrecking balls in the middle of the defense to go with Judon on the outside and Keon White, flashed as a rookie on the other side. Those four alone, you're talking major pressure. You're bringing back Gonzalez. And I also want the guy from Cincy, this Chidobe Awazi. Okay. I feel like he's probably going to take about $8 million in cap space at corner. I want to pair him up, keep Jonathan Jones in the slot. Bentley, got to keep Bentley in middle linebacker. I'm not crazy about it, but we have good, money into him. We can't go cutting him. Tavai, he's a noble player. I don't want him though. I need more speed. All right. So
Yeah.
Mapu and Peppers, pretty good speed. I want to bring in this, what is it? Drew Tranquil from Kansas City. Saw him in the Super Bowl. Flashy, fast linebacker, is not going to command a lot of money. Might get about maybe $5 million against your cap hit. So he's one of those guys who are pretty good in coverage. He's not great against the run, but hey, that's what we got Bentley for. I want some speed on that defense. So my big splash on D is bringing in Chris Jones and this Drew Tranquil guy, and we're raiding Kansas City's cupboard. All right, we're taking
Yeah.
two of their defensive players away. Cincinnati's, and that's what I want for that. And maybe use some of the later picks as well to get another speedy linebacker and another cornerback to bring in here.
Yeah, I think you were very high on the defense, and I think you mentioned that you didn't want to do too many moves on the defense, but here you are making probably the biggest signing on the defensive side of the ball this offseason. Everybody wants Chris Jones, so I love it. I would love to see what Chris Jones could do with Barmore and Judon on the same field as him, and I think you'd play with a bit of an edge on his shoulder. A chip on his shoulder, considering we're going to, Kansas City is probably our biggest rivals. So, no, I love it. And it's addition by subtraction. You're removing him from, the Super Bowl champions. You're getting him on your team, so nobody else has him. And this is probably going to be his last big contract, or his last, his prime, right? He's 29 and a half years old. This is it for him. And, at this point, he's going to fall off. So hopefully we get him on a nice 3-4 year contract for
and I'm counting him. I'm counting him as against about 25 million against our cap. So I'm not like thinking we're bringing him in here for nothing. That cornerback from Cincy is probably going to command about 8 million against our cap. Remember, you give these guys a decent signing bonus, it brings their cap number down in the first couple of years. So I'm counting Chris Jones about 25 million against our cap. This Tranquil guy about 5 million, and that Awazi guy probably about 8 million. Remember, the cap's going to be about $240 million this year. The Patriots also have $11 million in dead cap space right now they have to deal with. So I factored all of that in. So
and it's only going to go up every year. The cap's going to go up. The NFL is making money left and right. This is, a lot of these contracts that we thought were like, man, that's a horrible contract. Don't look at it as bad anymore, especially when you consider the percentage of the cap. It's not like the NBA where you're guaranteed an X percentage of the cap. This money's hard money. If the cap goes up 15 million, and you're cruising there for a team. So, and then in the draft, I like what you said, picking players with high upside, athletic ability, just like Duggar. I think we hit on Duggar pretty well. That was one of Belichick's better picks in the last few years. High upside, quick, fits that kind of mold of the Mapu, Peppers, Bledsoe. Who needs linebackers when you have a wonderful defensive line and these kind of multi-tool wing type defenders like an NBA safeties back there, clogging things up. So I love it. So moving right into offense. Now, offense is tough because because I really don't feel like our offense should have been remotely as bad as it was last year because, again, it was historically bad. But for my retaining on offense, I have Henry. I want to bring back Henry. I don't know what that price tag is going to be. I don't want to spend a ton of money on him. So we're going to have to sit down at the table and hash some things out with him. I'd like to bring him back. I'd like to bring Bourne back. I know he's coming off of a major injury. Maybe we can get him at a bit of a steal. Still might be a good possession wide receiver, third down, right? Reliable. I loved his explosiveness. I don't know if that's going to be there post injury, but we'll see. And this one might be a bit controversial. I would like to bring back Onwenu. I took a look at the guards that are available. I know we're going to be dipping heavily into the draft here with a lot of offensive line, but Onwenu, I think, is by far and away the best available in the guard position. There's not the bad blood there that we had with Trent. So I would like to see him back. I went and I looked at Pro Football Focus for the other guys that are out there, and they just don't seem like it. And I know that's going to be a lot of money, but we have had him at quite the steal up until this point. So that's my
You mean tackle, Matt?
Yeah,
you mean tackle?
Tackle. Yes, tackle.
Yeah.
My bad. Yeah, the other
No
tackles.
more guards. We got a billion guards on the team.
Yeah, my bad. The other tackles are just like, old, or they, it's just like I know one who didn't shine for us, but he's more of a known commodity than a lot of these guys that there's a reason these teams aren't bringing him back. Usually teams don't let good tackles go to free agency. And I don't want to be the one team that makes that mistake. So I would like to bring a one back. What about you, Dad, for your offensive re-signing?
Okay, so I'm on board with Henry. I think we can get him back at a cap hit at around 10 million. That's what I have him down for. If he buys in, not Noah Fant, I think is a good backup. He's a shifty tight end. I wouldn't mind. You get him for less money. So Onwenu, I'm letting go. Goodbye.
Yeah.
You're
gonna have no tackles.
Trent Brown, you're done, son. Get out of here. Beat it. Don't want either one of those guys. See you later. Kendrick Bourne. See you, Pete. I don't want Kendrick Bourne back. Good riddance to him. And, so the reason why I'm able to drop some heavy cap space, we do have some important positions that have some cheap money, like Gonzalez at left corner. Usually that's taking up 15 million on most teams, Keon White, that one of the tackles, cheap player, so
yeah.
And Strange is still on a rookie contract. Those guards, we have 1 million guards, so we have decent cap space. So I agree with you with Henry. I don't want Bourne back. I don't want Onwenu back.
Well, then
I do not want Trent Brown back.
Anybody that I said that I didn't say that you want back?
No.
Ezekiel Elliott, Pharaoh Brown. No, none of those guys. All right. That sounds good to me.
Not interested. Not interested in any of them.
All right. So I like, that's kind of our, any cuts on the offensive side of the ball. And I mean, there's really no huge cap hits up there. Of course we would both love to get rid of Smith-Schuster, but he's
Parker, but we can't. We're stuck with him.
The cap is just, you were losing money if we cut him. So I guess it is what it is. So moving into, I think this will be a bit more of a cursory. We're not going to get into specific names, and then we'll get to the really fun part of, signings on the offensive side of the ball, but just for the draft scenario. Right. And I think a lot of our free agency signings are going to be dependent on what we want to do with the draft. So with the draft, I want to take a quarterback for, as high as possible, 1, 2, or 3, wherever we pick, if we trade up or not. After that, I would like to go heavy into tackle. I think this is a deep tackle draft, and there are a few names that are going to probably be there in the early second round where we're picking that I would like to grab. Some people have been throwing out wide receivers, but I feel like wide receivers are second fiddle to getting some strong offensive line help. So I would like to go quarterback, offensive line, then wide receiver for my draft, Dad. What about you?
Okay, so it's almost exactly what I want to do. I want to go quarterback. I want to go tackle because, like you said, the tackle position is really deep in this draft. And I was going to go wide receiver, but I'm not so sure about that anymore. And I'll get to that later. And the reason why I'm not going to go wide receiver. So I want Jaden Daniels at 3. That's my guy that I'm begging for. He's the guy I would love to get. So, and then I want my future left tackle as that high second round pick. Except his rookie year, I'm going to stick him at right tackle
Okay.
to get him his first year. He's not facing the best pass rushes on the right side. So I'm going to start him off his freshman year on the right side. And that's my plan for my first 2 picks.
Tip in
And
your
I'll let you
hand.
know why.
You're tipping
I
your
am.
hand. And you know what?
I am.
Here, I've let off most of the other ones. Make the splash, Dad. Cannonball. Everybody, I have an important announcement. Cannonball. Jump.
And I need all of you to stop what you're doing and listen. Cannonball!
Jump in the pool. Tell us your big splashes on the offensive side of the ball.
I am going to make it rain because with my cuts, there is a lot of cap space, baby. And the first one I'm bringing in is Tavon Smith, the Cowboys left tackle. He is older. I want to throw some
Smith.
Tyron, whatever. I want to throw some good money at him for 2 years because he is a wall. You do not get by that dude. So if you're going to have a rookie quarterback, I don't want a rookie left tackle protecting his blind side. I want him nice and comfortable. I want that guy in here. He's older, so he won't demand $20 million. He's probably going to cost you somewhere around $12 to $15 million in cap space. I want to bring him in for the left side. I want that rookie on the right side. Now you got Andrews at center, Cole Strange. I'm not crazy about, but he's at one guard, and then we get those million other guards that we've drafted. One of them has to pan out, so that's the other starter. So that's who I'm starting with, and then that's when the splashes come in. I am signing both, and both are going to command about.
You said both.
Both are going to command about $20 million in cap space, and I am bringing in Calvin Ridley and Mr. Pittman. I'm bringing them both in here to go with Henry, and then we have Bam Douglas at the slot guy, and that's going to make Devontae Parker and Juju Smith-Schuster basically the 5th and 6th receivers. They're going to just ride the pine because there's really nothing else we could do with them. So I want them out of the equation. I want even Thornton as the 4th wide receiver over those guys. But that's what I want. I want a general lineup to be Calvin Ridley, Pittman, Bam Douglas, and I want Hunter Henry at my tight end position. And of course, Stevenson is the running back with Daniels at. And I'm telling you, I can do all these moves, and I think I still had just under $20 million for draft picks and some other, backups.
I won't belabor the listeners. That's a very good plan. I that's pretty much exactly what I had, except I didn't have Ridley on there. For me, it was, Pittman, Higgins, and Evans. I think Higgins is probably going to get franchise tagged, so he's probably going to be off the table. Pittman might get franchise tag too, which is a bit scary, but Evans and Pittman, Higgins and Pittman, Ridley and Pittman, anybody in Pittman. I think Pittman is probably the premier wide receiver out there right now. I would love to get him on our team. I know I don't think you watch too much Colts, but that guy's an absolute stud. Super high on him. So, and of course, O-line help. Tyron Smith, it's tough because, you said 2 years, but the guy's, how old is he? He's 33 years old. I don't know if he's going to take a 2-year contract. We'll see. We'll see what his market is, especially left tackle with his star power. We'll see. But I agree. I would love to have a veteran on that left tackle side. There just really wasn't too many, true left tackles out there that I was very impressed by. You could poach KC's Donovan Smith. I don't know how good that guy was if he started any games, but he's out there. He was just on a 1-year contract. He might not even have really played, but yeah, I think that sums up.
There's a Jonah Williams kid too.
Yeah,
from Cincinnati.
There's
Jonah
guys
Williams
out there.
Kid. Yeah,
there
is.
Any other Patriots, master plan comments, Dad?
No, I mean that's basically my super team right there. That gets us, I think, sniffing the playoffs, even with a rookie quarterback. So a man can dream, can he?
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. Worst case scenario, our plans, crumble and go up in flame, and we have a quarterback on the second year and another high draft pick. So we'll see. So yeah, we can move into segment number 2, and we've spent a lot of time on that Patriots one. So the next few are not going to be as long. In particular, the Celtics, number 2 for us, back from All-Star break, well rested, big game against the Bulls tonight. They delivered, showed up. It was very strange for a bit there. They weren't playing much defense for pretty much the whole second quarter, but they showed up for most of the first, all of the third, and really put it away in the fourth. And in light of that, we thought, why not talk about how they've met or not met our expectations coming into the season with our 90-50-10s and what we anticipate for them going forward. So uh, we'll just talk about historically, right? Real quick. The 90 that I had was that no Celtic would finish over 26 points per game. And I think I'm going to end up wrong about that. Tatum has kind of asserted himself as the leader of this team. He's not too much over 26 points per game, but he's at 27, and he's getting that pretty much every game reliably, and he's done it pretty efficiently. My dad, his 90, shame on him, was negative. Do you remember what it was, Dad? Your negative 90?
Horford.
He said the wheels were going to fall off old man Horford, that it was going to be awkward, and we weren't going to be too sure whether we could
By the end of the year.
And I think Horford showed my dad that Father Time is not showing up this year. His 3-point percentage has been wonderful, 40.9 3-point percentage. I think it is tough because we are playing him at almost 27 minutes per game. Would love to see that dip, but that was my dad's 90. I don't think that's happening. So for the 50,
there's still 27 games left though. Playoffs. I want to be wrong about that. I want to be wrong. So
look at you.
I'm just saying. I hope I'm wrong. I hope I eat my words there. Absolutely. Yes.
The 50s. I had the Celtics first seed in the East. I think I'm going to be nailing that, and you might hear that again, as we go to our current ones. And my dad said we were going to have 3 to 4 All-Stars, and I think that was pretty close. I don't think we were too far off from that. Porzingis almost made it in. I think we're both.
I was wrong. Wrong.
I think we both were kind of happy you were wrong. Considering injuries and rest and everything. For my 10, I had us having 4 All-Stars, and again, that was close. There was rumors, there was talk. Derek White, Porzingis, not so much. It is what it is. My dad also, his 10 is kaput. Both our 10s failed. My dad had the Warriors win record. And for anybody who doesn't know, and I didn't know this off the top of my head, the Warriors only lost 9 games that season. The Celtics have already lost 3 more games than that Warriors team. And, by all accounts, they are dominant this season. Wow. That blows me away.
Matt, I think you look at these wrong sometimes. I think you get a win for your 10% because they were super close to getting. You put it at 10%, and the fact that they were so close to having 4 All-Stars with Derek White and Porzingis means I think you win that. Yeah, almost like I think you kind of fail the 1 seed. Because that almost should have been a 90. They currently have a 7-game lead.
That's
a 7-game. That's not a 50-50. That's like a 90% slam dunk. So, I'm just putting a little perspective on this. So I think you won your 10%, but you lost your 50. Yeah.
I think you nailed it there. And it was just more of like, did you predict something crazy? And I think you also, you're right. So let's get into our new ones. So our new ones, my 90. And maybe you poo-poo me on this because it's a bit too safe, but my 90 is that the Celtics are going to finish with the number 1 seed in the NBA, that they are going to have home court advantage in the finals. Big reason why I have it this way is because I hope Mazzulla is smart enough to not repeat mistakes, and he sees the lead they have in the East, and it gets to that kind of final April where it's really like a weak schedule. He starts to rest guys. Maybe we slip up in some of those games. So my 90 is we stay number 1 in the NBA. I think we're 5 wins up on Minnesota. What about you? What are your thoughts on that, Dad?
I mean, no, that's a legit 90. That's not a lock yet. Cool. It's getting there. So that's a good 90. So my 90 is very simple. If the Celtics are healthy for the playoffs, 90% chance they win the championship. Because I do not see any team in this league beating them 4 times. Like, I don't see the Celtics ever, this team healthy, ever going 3-4.
Yeah.
Ever. Against any team. I just don't see it. So if there is no injuries and they go in pretty healthy, I think it's a lock. They're just that much better than everyone else. They're going to be, they just show you they have this switch. It gets, a little annoying, but I get it. It's a long season. They flick the switch, and next thing you know, they're in a tight game and they're blowing the team out, or they're
Yep.
down a little
Saw it
bit and they're
tonight.
like, all
We
right, we're
saw
going
it
to stop
tonight.
playing now. We
Saw it
saw the
tonight in the third
switches
quarter.
tonight.
Yep.
Playoffs come around, they're going to be going all out all the time. So that's the, everyone said, it's not a hot take. Everyone's saying, no, the only thing's going to stop them is championships or themselves. But I think there's just a flat out 90% chance that they win it all. Very simply, if they just stay healthy.
Okay.
I don't see anyone doing 3 or 4 against them.
Well, so I, full disclosure, I didn't incorporate any playoff ones. I was more focused on the regular season. But my 50 is that the Celtics are going to give the old bull what he wants, and they're going to finish 10 games ahead of second placed in the East.
I said that earlier when you laughed at me.
Yeah, I mean, I'm coin flipping it now. At this point, it just seems like there's just so many fakers in the top of the East right now. The Cavs just lost tonight. Bucks 3 of their last 7.
They didn't have Mitchell. Let's slow down there.
Oh yeah. Well, that's my 50, Dad. What's your 50?
So my 50, is again, they stay healthy. They're not going to have one series that goes 7 games. I think it's a 50% chance if they stay healthy in the playoffs, they don't even have one series that goes 7 games.
Listen, is this a Celtics playoffs 90-50-10, or is this a Celtic? Because you were just, just full disclosure, everybody, before this even started, I said, so we're just going to do it on the regular season, right? He's like, yep. And then he probably wasn't even listening. He was just thinking about his 90-50-10s for the postseason. And, to be honest, that's what I'm all about. I really don't care if they finish 10 games ahead of second. I don't care if they get the number 1 seed in the NBA. All I care about is the old Bulls 90 coming true. And I do hope it does. So
are you saying that I'm old or something? I don't know where I am and I'm lost? Are you being an ageist again?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. He has to put
a fresh one. You'll get a fresh one.
Every morning he has to turn on these podcasts and watch them just to catch up on and remember where he was yesterday or last week, so he's at the old age is catching up to him. Now, my 10, and this is something my dad alluded to in the intro. My 10 is that Tatum becomes the favorite for MVP. Because now we're talking about just full end of season. My 10 is that Tatum wins the MVP. There was talk a lot this All-Star game about LeBron's legacy and it coming to an end, the fulcrum in these last in these next 2 years, 3 years. And Tatum being a part or playing in Boston, I think affords him a platform unlike many other teams. And with his personality, being a great dad, being, a great guy overall, no scandals, doing the right thing, playing both sides of the ball. I'm hoping that people come around, the narrative starts to shift of this is the face of the NBA. And with that comes MVPs. And, to be honest, the tough part about that is a lot of the MVP nowadays is, the reality is us here in New England and us New England fans, we appreciate the game, I think, in a more in-depth way than most other fan bases. I think a lot of other fan bases close their eyes for half the NBA games because they see, Luka Doncic, 35 points a game. But what they don't see is the guy taking, every defensive possession off, getting picked on by the other team's star player. If you watch the games the Celtics play, people don't want to go at Tatum. And when they do, he usually makes them pay. He's active on defense, active hands. And that's the kind of player us people in Boston love, with the Bergerons of the world, right? Pedroias, like these guys who deliver on both sides of the ball. They might not have the, 35 points, 60, 70 goal seasons, but because they're playing both ends. So My 10 is Tatum finally gets the respect he deserves. And even though he's on a very strong team, people realize what he does for those around him and what he means on and off the court. And he gets that MVP. And it would have to also account for a lot of voter fatigue with Jokic. So, because I think Jokic is probably the most deserving, but I don't think people want to keep giving it to the guy. So, what are your thoughts on that, Dad?
I think that's a solid choice because, like you said, with Jokic, I mean, it's going to be fatigue. Embiid is out; he's done, and the Celtics have an extremely soft schedule the last month of the year. So if Tatum starts throwing up 50 points a game in some of those, and the
Yeah.
Celtics are 10 games up on the entire league, the chatter will swing his way. So even though he's like fifth right now in MVP, I don't know, polls or whatever, that could shift. That absolutely could shift. So that's not a bad 10%. He's still fifth, so it is still a long shot. So that's not bad. So I like that one. But my 10% is that Tatum was asked over the All-Star weekend. LeBron's retiring soon. Who do you think is going to be the face of the league? Not just the Celtics, the league.
Of the league. Yeah.
And Tatum, and I love what Tatum had to say. He said, he went on, he gave him praise about the other people, blah, 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 like the other players. But at the end of it, he was asked, well, what about you? And he said, something along the lines of, if I win the championship, I'm going to have something to say about that. In other words, he's going for it. And so I'm going to give rapid fire, Matt. I have some pros and one con for if Tatum actually does become the face of the league. All right. And
all right.
Rapid fire, buy or sell, Matt. Okay, ready? When you're the face of the league, think of LeBron. Everyone wants to play with you. All these guys who are kind of important and not stars, they'll buyouts, they're almost automatically coming to your team. Free agents, they're coming off an injury, they're going to take less money to come to your team. That's one of the pros. You buy that?
Yes, I buy that for sure.
Yeah, you buy it. All right. So much to live up to. If he is dubbed the face of the league, it's just going to make him want to work his butt off to stay there because he'll know, I'm the guy now, and that's just going to motivate him even more to get better and better every year. I love that. You buy that?
I buy it.
All right. I'm on a roll here. Him being the face of the league brings the Celtics naturally more money. And when Wick Grossbeck gets more money, he's not as afraid to go over the apron. And there's 2 aprons now. So he starts getting whacked with, $100 million in taxes. He's not going to mind that because when your guy's the face of the league, he's always the number 1 jersey guy. He's always, there's just promotions is everything. It just naturally brings a lot more money to the franchise. So that's another benefit.
Buying it.
All right. And most of all, now he's recognizing it is all about the championships. And, maybe he stops worrying about MVPs and just starts worrying about his next ring if he wins this one. And because the MVPs, even if he doesn't win it this year, at some point they're naturally just going to give him one. They just do. I mean, that's the way it works.
Yeah.
So hopefully he gets a taste of being a champion and what that's like to have a ring. And then he doesn't even give a crap about that anymore. He just goes on this hunt and tries to, start chasing down Jordan maybe with 6 at some point. Because Tatum only is 25 years old. People do tend to forget that. You buy that?
I buy it.
All right. My only con, the only thing I worry about is if he gets that big and he does win, a couple rings with us, on his next deal, because he's probably going to sign another max deal.
Don't say it. I don't even
when that
like
is up. I know
when
when that is up and he's already has his ring glory, does he go back to his favorite childhood team, thinking that, wait, you think you're a worldwide star now? Come to the Lakers and really watch how you're a worldwide star in LA. I don't like it either. I just hope.
Ask me if I buy or sell it.
Because look at LeBron. He's, Cleveland to freaking, to Miami and then to LA. And like, I'm not saying it's going to happen. I'm just saying it would worry me a little bit if he became the face of the league.
Sell.
You buy or
Sell
sell.
so hard. Sell so hard. I think you are so emphatically wrong. And it's just what you do with every good thing when it comes to the Celtics. You find a way to be negative about it. And so no. I sell so hard. I think Tatum is built. I think Tatum is built different, and you're not giving him enough credit. I think that LA does not match what he would do, and I think he aspires to be Kobe more than anything. And what did Kobe do? Kobe stayed with that franchise for his entire career. I think Tatum loves Boston, and he wants to be the Kobe of Boston more so than anything. You know, after when he put up 50 against the 76ers last year, and he said, "This is my city," after hitting the three, walking back across half court. That's Tatum. I have no fear Tatum's leaving. Tatum, is the face of this franchise. I think financially we're going to make it very hard for him to leave. One of the big things you touched on was what it means to the organization for us to have success and everything like that. Here's a stat for you. When the Warriors in Steph Curry's rookie year, 2009, I'm just curious if you could take a quick guess how much the Warriors evaluation was as a team in 2009. Random number.
Maybe 800 million.
315 million. That was Steph Curry's first rookie year. They were only 315 million. Guess what the evaluation is of the second most valuable franchise in the world right now today because of Steph Curry and what he's brought to that franchise? Guess what their valuation is now?
Over $2 billion.
$8.2 billion. And this just lends credit to
what
the old bull says. This is what the lends credit to the old bull says. Winning championships brings money, makes things more palatable on the cap space situation, the luxury cap. So it's super important for Tatum to find success here at the Celtics, win a ring, and make Wick open up the purse strings, because I want to keep Drew Holiday, Derek White, all these guys here for years to come. And I don't want anyone thinking of the bottom line, because I want them to know how much this team's going to be worth and, the value of this team. So yeah, that's a little tidbit for you.
Like that. That was a good one, Matt.
Yeah, it's a fact. It's a cold, hard fact. All teams have kind of ballooned since 2009, but especially the Warriors being the second most valuable franchise in the world. That's including football teams, guys. And that's because of their success. So, yeah. Any other Celtics comments, Dad?
No, that's it. Move on to the Bees.
All right. So, move on to the Bruins. So the Bruins came back from the All-Star break, and they started to wade a bit too deeply into the adversity pool, and it was a bit frustrating. We did talk about that last podcast. They were not scoring goals outside of the Vancouver game, and of course, it's like when you exclude the one good game, it's it's going to go of course look bad, but they have bounced back this past week since being on the podcast, especially in the scoring front. Their last couple of games, they had 4 goals against the Kings, 4 goals against against Dallas, and then 6 goals against Edmonton. So really big wins overall. I think what's crazy is they came out of that All-Star break and they had a few games that should have been like cupcake easy wins, and they didn't make it happen. And now they're almost showing up even better than before against some of the really tough competition in Dallas and Edmonton. I was shocked they won these 2 games back to back, Dad. Any notes about these games?
Yeah, it's just, not to harp on a dead horse, but I just think, there's some boredom set it in. That's why I'm not boredom. I'm not worried about them. I'm just not. They are dealing with injuries now. That's a concern. Hopefully Lindholm is not out for the year. It's kind of a mystery. They're saying he's definitely out a few weeks. No doubt about that.
They said no surgery.
So
I saw someone write no surgery.
Okay, so that's good news. We don't want to lose him, even though he hasn't been great. He hasn't been, living up to the money he's paid. We still don't want to lose him. He's still, he may not be a $9 million a year defenseman, but he's still a good defenseman. So, otherwise, I have trouble worrying about him. I don't know. Like, I'm glad that this thing with trying to match last year is long gone. That's past us. And we don't have to worry about them going all out now. If they end up with the 2 or 3 seed, they're not going to probably risk their players' health and energy for it at the end of the year to try to get that 1 seed, I'm hoping. Who cares? You end up in the 3 seed. It just doesn't matter as much in hockey. The home ice advantage, it just doesn't. So, again, take the same approach as the Celtics. Go in healthy and rested. And that's all I care about, really. And hey, our boy Lowry, he's back. We've been on that Lowry bandwagon. 3 assists last night in Edmonton. Boom. Keep that kid up there.
Yeah, and at this point, I think it's safe to say I'd much rather have him up here than down there. I understand we're probably going to have to sacrifice a year of his contract, but got to reward the kid at some point. And I'm sure he'll definitely appreciate it. I mean, there's a line there, right? What's the worst case scenario? He becomes really good and you have to pay him a lot of money later. Well, guess what? You had to do that with all your good players. So it's like, you have. I think this is a window for the Bruins, and I would like them to execute on it with Marchand getting older, Pastrnak in his prime. I would love for them to lean into Lowry and keep him up here, especially since he's been proving himself. The tough thing is they are playing a lot of minutes. Like McAvoy. So since the 17th, so what's that? 5 days ago, he played 30 minutes against LA overtime game. They've had 3 straight overtime games, 30 minutes, 29 minutes and 40 seconds, 30 minutes again against Edmonton. Of course, he got the game-winning goal, which I'm sure, relieves him of a bit of that fatigue for a short period of time. Tonight, with 6 minutes to go, he's already up to 22 minutes. So, and this game might go to overtime because they're tied. So, it's kind of scary how many minutes this team's going into, and it's almost a good thing that that Lindholm is hurt. Hopefully it's not season ending, because he was a shell of himself going into that Florida Panthers season last year. We are currently we have 79 points. The Lightning have the second wild card seed with 65. So we are 14 points up on the Lightning, and our away record has actually been great. We're 16-5-6 away. So I don't know how much I'd want to kill ourselves for home ice advantage against some of these teams. And then can't go without saying Swayman. I mean, holy crap. I know he's kind of been giving up a high volume of goals in a lot of these last games. But
he didn't have a good game yesterday, but against Edmonton.
But the shootout, my buddy Andrew and his girlfriend Autumn went to that. And, they watched it live, that 10 round shootout or whatever you want to call it. He would not be denied that game. And I just think overall super high on him. Watching him play, I know last night wasn't great, is truly a treat. Olmark's in there tonight. He's doing pretty well. It looks like he's 23 of 25. We have the shot advantage. So, but I do like watching Swayman in there, and it does scare me, with his contract situation, everything like that. Any other thoughts on the Bruins, Dad?
Yes, I mean Swayman's really only his weaknesses. He doesn't have great control over rebounds. That's pretty common amongst young goalies. He'll get better at that as he gets older. But man, the first shot, it is hard to get by that man. The 10 bell saves that dude makes, they're phenomenal. Usually if he's scored upon, it's usually off a rebound, something that he just didn't control well. But yeah, I'm glad we have him. Hopefully we can sign him to a reasonable contract, and we'll have to see how that works out, man. That's all.
Yeah. And the other thing, really quick, I'd like to touch on is, they brought up that other young kid, and he played pretty well.
Yeah,
he got his first goal.
Kid, the forward.
He's like 6'4" or something like that.
They sat him tonight. I don't know why. He looked good last night. I'm like, he is kind of he's a force. He's hard to move. He's strong right on the puck, but
+2 with only 11.5 minutes on the ice with no shorthanded time. He's 6'5", 220. Man. Yeah, no, I was super happy to see that. Maybe it's a conditioning thing, right? I don't know exactly how,
back-to-back games. It might be.
Yeah.
How old is he, Matt?
26. Justin Brezu.
He's older. Okay.
Yeah, I guess he's
not a young prospect, but
no, he probably is what he is. But he's a big body, and I heard he's been showing out in in Providence. So it's like you got to reward those guys again. And it's like, what does Lysel have to do to get any sort of sniff on the freaking NHL team?
I
Holy
know.
smokes. How blackballed is that guy? Because he cannot get out of there. Like, I don't know
Yep.
what's going on. Somebody, he needs to get, some dirty pictures on somebody to get out of there, because nothing else is going to get him out, it seems. So, yeah, that's it. Yeah,
No,
that was my.
and
Yeah, go ahead. What's up?
that Richards guy they brought up too recently. He's playing tonight, so it's like, man, it's almost like they're trying to send a message to him, like, listen, dude, you're not coming up. You're not coming up till you get your crap together. So
You know
hopefully he
what?
gets on board and gets with the program one of these days. I don't know.
Why don't they just tell us what the message is, and me and you will go to a Providence Bruins game and just tell the guy, because he obviously has
Just
no
yell at it.
clue. Because holy smokes, they
No.
just do not want him up here at all. It's tough finding Providence Bruins like game splits and game logs. So, it'd be great to kind of know what he's doing per game. He looks like he's plus 11 right now. He had a goal and assist on the 18th, but then he went pointsless. It doesn't even show time on ice, so it's kind of all over the place. But
it's probably the little things, Matt. They want you doing the little things, back checking, fore checking. They want, they hitting, being strong on the puck, not turning it over. It's not necessarily all about the goals and assists and points. It's the Bruins are a very veteran-driven organization, and if you're not doing those little things, like kind of the example Bergeron set, you're not going to be up there. That's just the way it works.
He is only 21, so he's a young kid. He just turned 21 last month on the 19th. So
he's still
we'll
got
see.
time. Absolutely.
We'll see. Yeah. He might pull a Dougie Hamilton and say he wants out, or Tyler Seguin. So we'll see.
Oh boy. Yeah.
Well, we'll move on to the fourth segment. This is a very long podcast. We got kind of lost in the GM. So the drawings, the final drawing, putting the moratorium on it. My dad needs to save his money for Disney in 70 something days. This is not a Christmas countdown.
Advertisement.
This is now a Disney countdown. So what is
it is.
I'll let you take the reins on the.
All right. So here's our list again. All right. Our 10 participants. And we had Peter DiPaggio, another repeat winner last week. Him and Steve Sargent hogging all the damn prizes. And just go to my trusty Google. I have an app on this thing. Have you heard of apps?
Yes.
All the kids have apps. I get an app.
Right next to your
watch
bingo
what this app does. Ready? Google, pick a number between 1 and 10.
7.
That's a new one, I think.
Oh, it's my buddy Scott Schubert.
There you go, Scott.
Scotty!
I've seen Scott.
Yes. Worked with Scott for a million years at the jail. Great guy. All right, congratulations, Scotty. Not that I might not do a drawing again someday. We'll see. But I'm gonna try putting those resources towards a little bit of Facebook advertising, see if it helps the podcast. So we'll see about that.
Yeah. So far, my dad put $20 in, and we've gotten a couple scam messages. So,
well, no, I also set it up wrong. I didn't set it up so I set it up as like a messenger thing. So I mean, freaking old men in technology, just the worst. Yeah. So that is me, absolutely.
So we'll move right into Steve's high stakes. So that's a spur of the moment name.
Yeah, baby.
I don't know if it's permanent, temporary. I kind of like it. What is the lock for this coming week between this podcast and next for an NBA game, Dad?
All right. So there is no line on it yet, okay, because it's a little too far in the future. But you have the Denver Nuggets on a tough stretch. 3 games in 5 nights. All right. A lot of travel. They do have kind of a cupcake game in the middle with Portland, but they end against the Warriors at Golden State, who are having a resurgence at the moment. So Golden State, they're going to be home. They're going to be rested. And Denver, I feel like is going to
Primetime
be ripe for the picking that night. So I think they're going to light them up, and yeah, I'm gonna go with the
Golden State Warriors.
wait,
He
hold
forgot
on,
it. Gonna go with the
hold
Golden State
on.
Warriors over Denver. Yeah, and the Warriors. I think you're right. It's gonna be the end of a road trip for Denver. 7 p.m. game. Warriors, I think, are gonna really step up. It is a primetime game. It's gonna be on ESPN. So yeah, no, I think Steph lights him up.
No, I got a little lost there because I'm like, wait, I thought they were coming off rest, and I clicked the wrong date, of course, and screw it. But they are. They have like 2 or 3 days rest before that, so the Warriors are going to be home, rested, and the Nuggets are going to be at the end of a grueling little road stretch there. So, take the Warriors that night.
All right, sounds good. And maybe I'll toss some money on it. So yeah, that is the podcast. I appreciate everyone's time listening. Any thoughts, comments, concerns you got on anything we said, please share in the comment section. Let us know. Yeah, Dad, any other final thoughts?
No, that is it. Pass the little Bulls bedtime.
All right, good night, everybody. Have a good one.
Good night, everyone.
And for those of you who still think we're from England, we're not.